Good day everyone. So today we'll discuss about inverse function and functions as special relations. But before anything else, let us first read our learning objectives. So at the end of the lesson, learners will be able to define a relation using ordered pairs and identify its domain and range. Second is apply the vertical line test to identify functions from a graph and solve for the inverse of a function. So let us first define what is a relation. So relation is a set of ordered pairs x and y that shows a correspondence between two sets, the domain and the range. So it is simply a set of ordered pairs A and B, where A is from set A and B is from set B. So we have here an example 1. Set A, we have 1, 2, 3. Set B, 4, 5, and 6. So the ordered pairs that came from the two given sets are 1, 4, 1, 6, 2, 5, and 3, 4. So it is a relation. So let us now move on to function. So function is a special type of relation where every element in the domain X corresponds to exactly one element in range Y. So in ordered pairs, no two pairs can have the same first element X but different second elements Y. So meaning X is not allowed to have pair, or X is not allowed to pair with two different second elements Y. So we have an example 2. Same example, set A 1, 2, 3, set B 4, 5, 6. So the ordered pairs from the two sets are 1, 4, 2, 5, and 3, 6. So it is a function because 1, 2, and 3 from set A, or from the domains, appears exactly once as the first coordinate or values for x. So wala siya nagbalik-balik. So we have here another example, example 3. 1 is 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, 1 a function. So yes, because every element in the domain appears exactly once as the first coordinate. So even though the y value 3 is repeated. So it is a function. So we have another example, example 4. So is h equals 1, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1 a function? So it is not a function because the element 1 appears twice as a first coordinate with two different values. The coordinates are 1, 3, and 1, 2. So this violates the exactly one output rule. So since nagbalik-balik man si x, so it is not a function. It is just a relation. So how to determine a graph if it is a function or not? So we have a test called the vertical line test used to determine if a graph is a function. So a graph represents a function if and only if no vertical line intersects the graph at more than one point. So meaning, if we do the vertical line test, the vertical line must only intersect the graph at one point, at a single point, not 2 points at the same time. So how do we illustrate this vertical line test? So we have there an example of a function, a parabola graph, where the vertical line test is shown. So the function x squared minus 2x minus 3 is a function because when we perform the vertical line test, it only intersects the graph at one point. So the point of intersection is 1.5 at 1.5 and negative 3.75. Also, when you do the vertical line test and its vertex, it'll only intersect at the point 1 and negative 4. So it is still a function because it satisfies the condition of the vertical line test. So let's proceed to inverse function. So we have here one-to-one function, but this was already discussed by the previous reporter. But I will still include it here because it's part of inverse function. So one-to-one function is a function where every element in the range y corresponds to exactly one element in the domain. So only one-to-one functions have a true inverse function. So sa function na definition ganina, ang every element in the domain must correspond to exactly one element in the range. Same siya diri sa one-to-one function. Ang range na sad, ang range ang ma-correspond lang sa exactly one element in the domain. So since kadtong sa function kay vertical line test man, so here we have the horizontal line test to determine if a graph is a one-to-one function. So a function is a one-to-one function if and only if no horizontal line intersects its graph at more than one point. So if it will intersect at 2 points, meaning the graph is not a one-to-one function. So you will not be able to have a parabola that is a one-to-one function because when you do the horizontal line test, it will intersect into different points at 2 different points. So for you to be able to understand further the difference of the three, the one-to-one function and the relation, we have here set of examples. So for the one-to-one function, we have set A1, 5, 2, 8, and 3, 11. So when you get the inverse for that set, you will obtain a raised to negative 1 equals 5, 1, 8, 2, and 11, 3. So it has a true inverse function because every element in the range corresponds to exactly one element in the domain. So wala na balik-balik. So we have function but not one-to-one. Nakuha po nato siya nga function pero dili siya one-to-one. So we have set B 1, 5, 2, 7, and 3, 5. As you can see sa set B, wala nagbalik-balik nga domain value. When you get the inverse for that one, B raised to negative 1, we will have 5, 1, 7, 2, and 5, 3. So it is not a one-to-one function because the x equals 5 is repeated. Ang domain value nga 5 kay nibalik siya sa iyang pagkuha na sa inverse. So dili siya one-to-one function. Sa original function siya. Pero sa iyang inverse, it is not a one-to-one function. So relation but not a function. We have set C 1, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, and 3, 1. So it is not applicable. So no inverse for this set. So the x value 1 is repeated. So since nagbalik-balik man si 1, so dili siya function. Kay ang relation by definition kay it is simply a set of ordered pairs from the given set. So how to find the inverse of a function? These steps can be used in a function that is an equation. So first is replace f of x with y and interchange the variables x and y in the given function and then solve for y. And then for the final answer, you will replace the y with f raised to negative 1 of x. So we have here an example. So find the inverse relation algebraically for the function f of x is equal to 3x plus 2. So first step is you have to replace f of x with y. So we have here y is equals to 3x plus 2. That's the original equation defining f. And then for the second step, interchange x and y. So si x na ang naa sa pikas, dibaylo ra sila. So x is equals to 3y plus 2. Switch x and y. And then for step 3, solve the new equation for y. So you have to apply the addition property of equality. Reverse the sides of equation, or you just simply reverse the sides of the equation. And then for the final answer, you'll have to replace y with f raised to negative 1 of x. So we have another example. Example 6. Find the inverse of the function negative 1 half x plus 1. So first, you have to replace f of x with y. So we have y equals negative 1 half x plus 1. And then interchange x and y. X equals to negative 1 half y plus 1. And then solve for y, or simplify the equation. So you will multiply both sides by negative 2 to simplify the equation. So you will obtain negative 2x plus 2. And then you will replace y with f raised to negative 1 of x. So we will have your final answer. F raised to negative 1 of x is equals to negative 2x plus 2. So that's the inverse of the function negative 1 half x plus 1. So how will you verify inverse functions? So verify inverse functions by composition. So two functions f and g are inverse functions if and only if both of their compositions are the identity function, meaning the final answer, if you will do the composition, the final answer of both f of g of x and then g of f of x is equal to x. So we have here an example. Example number 7, verify whether these functions are inverse functions. So we have f of x equals 3/4 x plus I minus 6, and then g of x is equals to 4/3 x plus 8. So f of g of x, you will have to put the g of x inside of f of x. So you will replace the x in the 3/4 x minus 6 into 4/3 x plus 8. So that's the value for your x when you do f of g of x. So 3/4 times 4/3 x plus 8 minus 6. So makancel naman na siya. Inig multiply. So you will obtain x plus 6 minus x. So makancel ang 6 minus 6. So you will obtain equals to x. So f of g of x is x. Next is g of f of x. So g of f of x, for you will have to put f of x inside of g of x. You will replace the value of x by 3/4 x minus 6. So you will obtain 4/3 times 3/4 x minus 6 plus 8. So makancel gihapon. You will have x minus 8 plus 8 is equals to x. So g of f of x is x. So these functions are inverse functions because their compositions are identity function, or f of x is equals to x. So that's how you verify inverse functions by composition. So to sum up all, function is every input x has exactly one output y and satisfies the vertical line test, meaning a vertical line will only intersect the graph at one point. And then inverse function, we have f raised to negative 1 of x only exists if the original function is a 1-to-1 and passes the horizontal line test, meaning a horizontal line on the will intersect the graph at one point, exactly one point. So finding the inverse, interchange the variables x and y and solve for y. So that's about inverse functions and functions as special relations. So you already know about this because this was tackled during our high school days, and this was also tackled by other subjects or other courses. So that's all for the inverse functions and functions as special relation.